Alright, so in this video we're gonna go over creating a dashboard for portfolio performance using Tableau. Our final dashboard is going to look something like this. This is for the data from June 2020 to September 2020, so it's not the most recent data, but it's a sample that we can use to sort of see how the process works. Also, we can get all the data related for this from the Bloomberg terminal using the port function. But I've already put the necessary data in an Excel sheet for the purpose of this video. So just having a glance of this dashboard, we can see that we have four main elements here. We have the sort of the total return here for the portfolio and for the benchmark here. And we also have the performance by the sectors, right? And we also have the best performance during that time period, and we also have the worst performers during that time period. And we're gonna go through the steps needed to sort of make this dashboard. Let's first take a look at our data. So we generally have, we could get this holding report out of Bloomberg using the port function, and from that we can get the best and worst performers during any time period we want. So we generate those two from there. We could also get this sort of the by sector analysis and their attributions from the Bloomberg terminal. And for this sort of task, I'm only going to use the total returns. I'm not going to use total attribution. I'm not going to use risk adjusted returns. I'm just going to keep it simple and use the total nominal returns for each stock and each sector. And we also have a sheet where we have the overall performance. So with that in mind, let's get started and make our dashboard here. This is a Tableau Public. Make sure you register and create an account on Tableau Public, because otherwise you won't be able to save your work. Right. So the first thing we need to do is to get our data in. The first thing we're going to create is that overall bar chart that we saw there. I think is the easiest one. So first we import that data here, and we go on to create it. We want to create a bar chart here, and right. Let's make that into a bar chart. You don't really want that. All right. All right. We have this thing now, right? Where it shows the total returns over that period of time. We also want to color this, so we're gonna just drag one of these values here, and put the measure name. We just want them in different colors. It's two colors. It's not like we're getting a range here. Let's just, I don't know, let's just make this green, and let's make this like light blue, since we're outperforming the benchmark in that time period. We also want to label our sheets. Let's see what I did here. I'm just going to copy and paste the same header here and just put it in here with the same formatting. I may also want to like put a, this is return percentage. Just write this, and I just double clicked on it, by the way. Yeah, and that's about it. That's our sort of first sheets. Let's call this overall. Right. So for our second sheets, let's go to data. We're gonna do the sector one now. We have our data loaded here. We have the names, and we want to do a sort of a box plot like this, right? So we want the size of the boxes to replicate the weight that we're exposed to. So let's just do this here, right? Okay. You can Control Z or like use this button whenever. I think I want to put in the portfolio weights here, not the average. Let's just remove that and names and weight portfolio. All right, there we go. We're good now. I saw a couple of plus minus values. This measure is basically the port value minus the bench value. Like we want to see how different our weights are. I think I initially imported that, so we're just looking for the sizes of these boxes to represent that. And we see that they're in different colors, but we don't want the sizes to show the different colors. We want the sort of the profits and like sort of the returns of that sector to be replicated in the colors. So we're gonna come here. This is the total return for our ports. We're just gonna put this in color, and we're gonna sort of change these colors. Let's do a red green diverging. So the greener they are, the more profitable they are. So we have that here. I think if we go to the finished example, I put the actual returns in here too, like the numbers showing. If you want to show those numbers, we can use this label box here. We will just drag whatever parameter we want to show in that label box, and we want to show the total return in that sector here. So we just drag and drop that here too. After doing that, we have a bunch of other information here too. We don't want to really show it in the chart, but it might be good to add it to details. And what details is that whenever you put your cursor on one of these boxes, you see a bunch of information, and we can add more information to that. And I think it might be useful, since we're doing total returns, we're not really adjusting it by the benchmark here. It might be useful to have that in our site. So we're gonna put the average weight of the benchmark in the details, and we're gonna also put in the total return of the benchmark in the details. So for example, if you put on the cursor on the information technology industry group, we can see that our average sort of weight compared to the benchmark is lower, but our return is more than the benchmark, meaning even though we're less exposed to it, we've picked a better performing stock in that group. So, with that said, so with that in mind, let's just put a title on this thing. Font, let's just copy and paste this, put it here. Let's just put sector here. go. We have our bisector performance measure. Let's just type in sector for the name of this sheet so we know what we're dealing with later on. The next sheet that we're gonna do are the best performers and the worst performers. Again, we go and import the related data here. Let's just start with the top performers. We have it here. We go to this sheet. We have the names. And we have the total return since inception, which is June. Let's make this into a bar chart. We also want to sort this when like the highest return is like on top of the chart. We can also color code this based on return. This actually looks good. We're not going to touch that. What else? We can add the ticker to the detail. We can add the daily closing price of that data. Obviously, it's old now, but whenever we're working on recent data, it might be useful to like whenever you go here, you see the latest price of that. We could also add the weight to the detail to see how much exposure we had to it. We could also add the dollar value of that position that we're holding here. And that would sort of conclude our best performers. Best. Let's put a header on it too. Let's go here. Best performers. I like that color. Let's just use that. There we go. Let's center it. All right. That's that. And next we're going to do the worst performers over that time period. Again, we go here. We import the related data. You can you can manage the data in Tableau too if you like import a raw from whatever you get out of Bloomberg. But I sort of prefer other tools for the like cleaning the data and pre-processing it and stuff like that. So I think it's easier that way, but you could sort of try and like pre-process and select the top 5 from a holding report in Tableau too, but I just did that stuff in Excel. All right, so similarly, let's just put the names here. We want the total returns, we'll just put them here. Make this into a bar chart. And we want to, again, color code based on the returns. That orange is a little bit too much for my taste, so let's make that into a red, I guess. There we go. Better. Now, again, we could add some other information to the details, so whenever our cursor is hovering on it, or whenever you're presenting any work, it might be useful information to have that there. So we have the closing price, total return ticker. We could add the dollar value of the stock and the weight of it here too. So yeah, we have the weight, we have so like for example, see here that like even though, for example, this one is performing really bad, our portfolio isn't that exposed to it, but like we have a little bit more exposure for this one. Anyway. All right, well, now we have the 4 elements that we needed to create our dashboard, and the next step is to actually create the dashboard. Let's also name this first too. Just gonna performance. Okay, there's a spell typo there. There we go. All right. All right. Let's center this too. Okay. All right. Now let's go and create our dashboard. You can pick and choose the sort of the screen size that is going to view the dashboard, and if you have a specific audience, or especially like if you plan on people looking at this through their phones and stuff, you need to like work on this and sort of have that in mind in your design. But we're assuming that people are going to use a computer, laptop, to see this, so we're just not going to worry about this part that much. So we're just going to set it on automatic. And we're going to drag the stuff in here now. Let's put our overall here. Top, we have the best, worst, and sector, right? And okay, obviously this doesn't look that good now, so and sometimes it will like turn out okay and you don't need to adjust it much, but this isn't one of those times. So first things first, let's just remove some of these that are not useful. Like this is like we get it that there are two colors, and uh, this again isn't that useful. I'm gonna only keep this one because it will like give us a like a needed information. We don't want to overcrowd this. Put this here. Okay. All right. So all right. So I'm just gonna select the on the fit whenever you right click on each of these sheets in the dashboard. I'm just gonna select the entire view so I can manage it manually. Entire view. Entire view. We can play with that later on. So example, like this doesn't really allow me to, I want this to, if you look at our final file, I want this to be on top and the rest of this to be below it. Since it doesn't allow us to do it in this the automatic version, we sort of have to do this manually. So whenever you click on each of these elements and click on layout, you can select this floating option here, and once you do that, you can sort of manage it manually. I guess this is the place for that, right? Again, for this too, we just select manually and this thing down. Yeah, we float this too. Sometimes it just comes together. You don't need to go through this extra step, but sometimes it just doesn't. We float this too. Put this here. Let's click. Right. Float this and put this here. So now, make this a little bit smaller. We have a little bit more space down here. Let's just use it. All right. This doesn't need to be this white. Let's just make it smaller. There we go. And let's make these in a similar line, sort of. Take this a little bit up. All right. So that will sort of conclude our stuff. I think we also had a picture of the fun here. We can do that here too. Whenever you want to add images, you just go here to this dashboard thing and click on images. You can just like take a snapshot of the picture there or from the university website if you want to include that logo. I think I've already have that saved. Let's just get that. All right, and again, we want to make this floating too. There we go. All right. A little bit more space here. Let's just use it. And I guess this will be our final product, right? And after you've had that together, you see that we'll see the details we have here, and this will give us a good sample to look at. Obviously, you can do this with other measures of portfolio performance. You can do it for different time periods. You can do it with more recent data that you get from Bloomberg. The last thing you want to do is to save it. Um, I'm not logged in, but if you're logged in, you just sign in, and I don't want to save it again since I've already have it on my account. Just log in, sign in, and after that, it will just automatically save it on an online account Tableau Public gives you, and it will take you to a sort of a gallery view like this. And yep, with that said, I think this is the end of this video. Feel free to reach out if you have any questions, by the way.